Hey, what's up guys? It's Steven. Now, I've bought millions of dollars of real estate early on in my real estate career. I'm still early in the come up right now. But when I started out from zero, I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know what a good property looked like, what a bad property looked like, where I should be looking. I certainly didn't know how to underwrite and run the numbers. And I was petrified of making the wrong decision. So I did what anybody would have done in this situation. I Googled for answers. Actually, I went to YouTube because what I was looking for was somebody to explain it to me, to hold my hand through the process per se. And I found characters like Grant Cardone, Brandon Turner in Bigger Pockets, Graham Stephan, Ben Mulla, and so on. Now, some of these guys would go through underwriting and upload those videos a lot to YouTube. Others wouldn't, and they kind of show you what they're doing, and it's more entertainment value. The ones who did it a lot, I found a lot of value in it, but I was always nervous because I didn't feel like any of them really held my hand and said, hey, you're at zero today, here's what you need to do. So that's what I'm doing in this video. If you're at zero today and you want to know how to run the numbers on a property, where to even start, this is that video. I'm going to walk through the process that I used starting from zero to start doing it, to start underwriting and understanding real estate. So here's what you do. First things first, you need a database of deals or projects to look through. Now, there's a lot of free resources out there to get started. I would recommend starting with Realtor.com. Now, it's a pretty simple site. You probably already know about it, but it's a very good resource when you're getting started. The next thing, what location are you going to work with? I highly suggest starting in your backyard. Even if you want to do it in other areas, that's fine. Start with underwriting and understanding real estate and the numbers in your backyard, because you can underwrite, figure out what the numbers look like for that certain property type, and then go walk it. When you walk a property, you get a whole level of appreciation for real estate and for that property that you can't get simply by running numbers on a pen and paper. Let's jump on Realtor.com. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. At least that's where I started. And so I'd go on Realtor.com, type in where I'm at, hit the go button. Once I get to this page, what I'm going to do next is select my property type. I'm a multifamily real estate investor, so I'm going to click multifamily. Now there's other selections on here. There's land, there's farm ground, there's condos, townhomes, mobile home, all that type of stuff. I highly suggest, for most people, you're going to want to just stick with multifamily. Maybe single family, but really ideally stick with multifamily. Once I do that, I'm then going to go to relevant listings and I'm going to go highest priced to lowest price. Now, you might wonder why I'm doing that. The reason I'm doing that is I want to see the best quality properties, which are probably going to be the most expensive, first. Now, you may be thinking a lot of things, different things when I'm saying that, but the reason I'm saying that is because for me, my plan, my strategy has always been buy quality real estate at the fairest price that I can, and then you've already got a good asset or an asset that has, promise to it, and it can go up. If you buy junk, it is really hard to take junk and make it a diamond. I can get into the weeds on that, but that's not what this video is about. So, we got all these different projects, different deals, different whatever out here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna click on some. So say this one right here, this 215,000. Click on it. You've got all these photos. Well, in this case, it's only got 2 photos. Anyways, some of the properties will have more than 2 photos, and so you can scroll through the photos and kind of get an idea of what the property is looking like. But what we really want is to go down here where it says property details. What we're looking for here is, yes, a description of the property, but we want to see what the rents are. Remember, our goal here is to start underwriting properties and understanding what our market kind of looks like, what our average rents, what are properties selling for relative to their rents, stuff like that. Now, what's probably going to happen, and is happening to us right now, is that we click this property details and the rents aren't listed here. It honestly sometimes won't even tell you if it's a duplex, quadplex, or so on. So what this means is that we've kind of struck out. We need to go look at a different property in order to keep practicing our underwriting muscle. Now, I went ahead before this video and actually found a property, kind of chalked it up for us, that we can go and actually do this exercise through, and you don't have to sit here and let me sift through a bunch of stuff to get to what we need. In this case, I actually went to the Columbus market, which is about 2 hours away from Toledo, Ohio. Now, this is a good point to say that if you're from a smaller location where you don't have a ton of projects or deals to work through, go to the next nearest big location by you and start working through that. Because what we want to do right now is just go through a lot of deals to get a lot of practice and build up our confidence in our ability to underwrite. So if we switch over to this tab that says Columbus, Ohio, you can see that I've found this property. They're asking $1.2 million for it, and in this case it does have a bunch of pictures that we can take a look at and kind of get an idea of what this property looks like. Looks like maybe it's by a trail or park. These things are very expensive. They're more expensive than normal stoves. I know that from experience. But anyways, so we keep doing our process. We go down here and we look at property details. Now, in this case, they've confirmed that this is an 18-unit apartment building. Just because it says 18 beds doesn't mean that that's the number of units. If we keep reading along, it says that it's 100% occupied. Now, this is a good point to stop and say 100% occupied when they tell you that you should take that with a grain of salt. What that really means is they're just trying to tell you that it's 100% occupied or that it's effectively close to full. When you underwrite a property, never assume 100% occupancy. The bank won't, and you shouldn't either. If it is a good location and it seems like it would be 100% occupied, use 95%. It's good. You always want to build in padding when you're running your numbers. Now, here's what we're really looking for. It tells us our rents. So $600 to $700 per month. Now, this is what we need in order to begin underwriting a property and the method that we're going to use as a beginner. And this is honestly how I start to run a lot of properties numbers, even today as a more advanced professional real estate investor. So if it says $600 to $700 per month is the average rent, and there's 18 units, that gives us our gross income or gross scheduled income. So what we do is we're gonna say it's in between 600 and 700, so that means it's $650 per month is the average rent that we're gonna use times 18. So if we do 650 times 18, that gives us 11,700, but we want 95% of this. So we're gonna multiply that by 0.95. Maybe I should point out, if you're looking at a property that says 80% occupied, adjust accordingly. But we're using 95% in this example. So when we do that, the number we get is 11,115. So let me write that down. 11,115. I'll show it, maybe you can see it. 11,115. This is the gross income that we get per month, but we want it on an annual basis. So what we're gonna do is multiply that by 12. And what we're going to get, what this equals, is $133,380. Right here. $133,380. That is what we get as our gross income for an entire year of owning this property and keeping it 95% full. So that's going to be our top number that we start with. So we'll take 133,380, and then we're going to subtract out our expenses. How do we figure out what our expenses are? In this case, we're going to assume that 50% of our gross income goes to expenses. So if we have $133,380 as our top line, and we divide by 2, that means that we have expenses, annual expenses of $66,690. $66,690. That's 50% of this, which also means that our NOI, which stands for net operating income, is $66,690. What we can do from here is take that number and divide it by the purchase price. So if we go back to the screen and we go up here, they want $1.2 million for this property. If we take $66,690 and we divide it by 1.2 million, that gives us 5.5%. This number right here. That is called a capitalization rate, or a cap rate. That means if we paid $1.2 million in cash, we would be earning, after all of our expenses and all the garbage, we'd be earning 5.5% on our money. Now we're in real estate though. A lot of people are in real estate for leverage. So we're going to borrow money. And this is an important point that you're going to have to follow along on. Is okay, we have $66,000 to work with. Now we have to factor in our debt. So this is where you need to figure out what the monthly payments are. Without getting too much into the weeds, on a property that is 18 units, you're going to have a commercial loan. On a property that's 4 units and below, like a single family house, a duplex, a triplex, or a quadplex, you can get a conventional home loan. You can't get a conventional home loan on something like this. And this comes into debt and term structures, and I'll talk about that in a separate video. But assuming we can get the same type of terms that you could on a conventional home loan, so a 30-year amortization table, fixed rate over 30 years, all that, maybe that's where we'll figure off of. So what would our debt cost look like from that perspective? Well, what we can actually do on Realtor.com is we can scroll down even further, and this is only okay to do when you're getting started and learning the numbers, is you can find your monthly payment. And so what we want to do is click on this edit button, and we want to make sure it's a 30-year fixed, and then update and close. And so our monthly payment on 30 years fixed at 6.317%, and we have, how much do we have down here? We have 20% down payment. Our monthly payment would be $8,033. Now I'll go ahead and calculate this, but you can already tell there's going to be a problem. So if we just say it's $8,000 even, we multiply that by 12, that means we have $96,000 in loan payments. $96,000 in loan payments, and we're only making $66,000 a year off this. That means we're losing money. That's a big time problem. You don't want that. So what you can do is you can play around with the numbers. What would the purchase price have to be in order for this to be a cash flow positive deal? In a cash flow positive deal that I want to have, when you're starting out, look for 10%. And here's what I mean on cash flow positive. What I mean on cash flow positive is if I put $10,000 down on a property, that's my down payment. It's just a multiple, so you can change it. If you're putting $50,000 down, it's 5 times, but stick to $10,000 right now. If I put $10,000 down as a deposit or as a down payment, I want to make 10% cash on cash. So I want to make $1,000 a year after my expenses to maintain the property manager, the taxes, maintenance, insurance, and my loan payments. If the property can't do that, I don't want that property. So knowing that, you can run through the numbers again and figure out, okay, maybe this property is only worth $900,000. Maybe it's only worth $800,000. And this is how you start to understand valuations on properties and what it's worth to you. Real estate's is for the most part pretty objective, but it's also subjective. A property can be worth different prices to different people, and that's what makes a market. What I would recommend doing from this point on, I've already walked through an example. Watch the video again if you need to. I would go out and over the next week, I would try to underwrite at least 3 properties every single day in your market. Do that every single day for 7 days. That means I'm asking you to underwrite 21 properties. And then watch the next video that I put out, and I'll tell you what to do after you've underwritten at least 21 properties over the next 7 days. Don't do 21 properties in one day. Stretch it out 3 or 4 every single day, because you want to get practice at it over time, and you'll start to build a lot of confidence. This is what I did. I actually did this for years, a long time before I bought my first property. Don't be ashamed if you're looking at single family rentals. The first property that I bought was a $46,000 single family rental that I've made a bunch of money on. You gotta start somewhere. I recommend starting here. This is exactly how you should start. Don't worry about all the other details, just pay attention to that. Now here's my plug. After you do all that, well actually before you go and do all that, if you got value out of this video, if you like this video, I'm asking you to please like, share, subscribe, and leave me a comment down below. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks.